Good luck. Good afternoon. Thank you for the introduction. Do you hear me well? I'm really glad to be here. Just let's finalize text setup if we could. Okay, sounds good. Okay, so good afternoon again. So as mentioned, I've been in the IT world for a number of years, and I spent maybe 8, maybe 9 years in the IT world. In the world of IT product management. And before that, before I became product manager, I was a business analyst, and before that, I had some fun with PHP and SAS4GL, for example. Anyway, today I would like to share with you some of my personal insights, which are related to product management, but my plan is to do it in a way that will be, I would say, of value to all those who are not professionally involved in management, if it makes sense. And also, in the second part of my talk, I do believe that the title will become very clear to everyone. So, long story short, I want to open this door. Behind it, there are many of my perceptions. Today, I would like to get into 3 main ones, and I also hope that some of the things will be the kind that once heard will never be forgotten. This is my intention, to be honest. On the other hand, as you see, I'm stressed. And what makes me stressed is the fact that there is a risk I might be made redundant after this talk. I'm going to tell you some things which are a little bit controversial, even if damned important. On the other hand, I think that some of the conclusions may affect the way you work or maybe even your life. So I treat this as something quite serious. Anyway, without any further ado, let's go to the first insight. And to do this, let me maybe start with a story. It's a true story, to be honest. Approximately 4 years ago, I was in London. I was walking along the boulevard next to Westminster Bridge, and a guy approached me and asked for a photo. An ordinary guy, not a seller of Chinese souvenirs, nor a drunk Brit, nor even a person who knew my name, so not a person who was looking for adventure. Let's say his name was Fernando. Actually, it was Fernando. So I took a picture. The guy was from Brazil. Does not work. Yeah. Okay, so the guy was from Brazil, traveling with his girlfriend, I suppose. Of course, neither of us was from London, so we started with some small talk, very smart small talk about English weather, obvious. And it turned out quickly that we have even a mutual friend from São Paulo, so what a small world, I thought. But what amazed me even more a few moments later was discovering that this guy was also a product manager, just more experienced than I was at that time. So we walked around, we had some further chat, and even we finally decided to continue our conversation at the Black Horse pub that was actually right next door to Facebook London office. And here's where it gets interesting, because Fernando faced exactly the same product-related challenges and annoyances I had dealt with before. Nothing surprised me. But let me maybe list a few topics we discussed. The first one was Gantt charts. In one of the companies, I was asked to use Gantt charts to prepare and communicate all the plans, including the roadmap. And everything had to be very detailed and always up to date. And I remember it took long hours to meet the expectations. Nightmare, but it happens. Just the fact. Okay, the second topic we discussed with Fernando actually was about holding the shit umbrella. Maybe some of you know that. Sometimes people who are sitting beyond PMs in the hierarchy, they're trying to control the product development from behind the scenes. It happens. And they are sending multiple tiny requests, and they expect to do all those things to be done right away, because tiny things can be done immediately, right? Some of you may know that. So especially when you're a junior, of course, you try to unfold the umbrella to stop the shit going from the top. But especially when you're a junior, or your umbrella is full of holes. On the other hand, in large organizations, when a giant shits, it's very easy to have holes. I'll just come back to this thread later. The third topic we discussed was about pleasing customers who pay the most. Maybe it's not new to some of you as well. But I remember from my experience that in one of the companies, I was asked to provide much better service and much higher attention to some requests coming from a specific client. Of course, the one who gave the most money. Even the client had a power to dictate what will be released and when. Simply stupid, but I was junior. So even if I disagreed at first, finally I did what I was asked for. It happens. Technical debt, the final topic we discussed with Fernando. Actually, not the final one, but let me mention this one as well. Technical debt, and just to recall a very concrete situation from my experience, one of my engineering teams, it happened a few years ago, was asking over and over again to spend 2 or 3 sprints of 2 weeks to eliminate tech debt entirely. They wanted ideal product. They were even holding up the process. I believe that business value can come through or from validation of a specific hypothesis, but I trusted engineers. They are quite often smart guys. So we had very tedious negotiations. Even if we finally ended up with a consensus, nobody was happy. I was even angry with me because time was money. We lost time. So once again, nothing surprised me from what Fernando mentioned, but it was an eye-opening experience. But I thought afterwards, one swallow does not make a summer. But not a quarter went by and I met another senior product person. This time it was in Tenerife. The guy was from Barcelona. As you can see, I'm just a lucky guy who meets people with similar interests. Anyway, the second guy also mentioned a few things that were not new to me at all. And so let me add a few more items to the list. Product myopia, so narrow-minded thinking and marginal thinking, chronic stress and exhaustion due to demanding PM role. Yeah, sometimes it's demanding, sometimes it's not. Usually it's demanding, let's say. Anyway, also stakeholder whiplash and the chaos of doing too much, too fast. And I remember weeks, for example, when there was no time for strategic thinking, weeks when I had so many things on my plate. So over the years, I had a chance to talk to multiple product people, juniors, senior ones, and I found that there is a huge bunch of problems which are identical or quite similar. And I'm referring more to team effectiveness or work effectiveness problems rather than to customer problems. But there are many such problems which concern many. On the slide here, still I need to get familiar with this, you can find a few more items I found from various discussions. I don't want to go through all of them. You can just see this on the slide. I'll come back to a few of them in a moment. So let's maybe go to conclusions. You've heard that we can have the same the same problems, different PMs. Might be obvious, it's not a surprise, the same domain, right? Product management. But it's worth noting that you can quite often expect very similar problems no matter what your industry is, no matter what your location is, and finally also no matter how many years of experience you have. So title is not so important in my opinion, but as I said, maybe it's obvious. But it's a little bit positive to me because now for example, I'm not only with my problems. This is what I think. Because always, if I have any problem, there's a chance I can talk to somebody else. And perhaps there's a high chance that this another person already went through the same journey. So I can talk to this person, be inspired, and even finally steal the solution, transform it to my specific environment, and be happy, right? And from that perspective, I think that working in all kinds of communities are so crucial. But still, it's important, but maybe it's obvious to some of you. Still, it's not my first insight I wanted to share with you, because the first one is a little bit depressing, to be honest. It's the first one. I found that waste, omnipresent waste. I found that quite often we put a lot of effort, a lot of energy into things which are not so important. Waste, just waste. And it's not about doing the wrong things, because, for example, when I have some assignments, I try to do my best. And I would say it's natural. We always try to do our best. But looking back, looking from perspective, we see that, or we may see that actually, yeah, something might have been done better. Something was a waste. So we see this from a wider perspective. And just, I don't want to leave you just with just a taste. So let's come back maybe to a few problems I mentioned earlier. Gantt charts, why is it a waste? I would say many plans in product or in project management are misunderstood. And especially with Gantt charts, I think Gantt charts introduce a fixation on date, start date, end date. And then all those things which are committed, presented, they sound like true commitments, and you need to communicate, and there's an overhead in the communication to explain what I really had in mind. On the other hand, if there's a horizon wider than a week, usually we don't talk about plans, it's more a guess. And if it's a guess, you don't need detailed planning. It's just my view on that. In case of holding the sheet umbrella, I would say it's not my job as a PM. My job is to make sure that I'm building the right product that attracts customers and makes money, in short. Anything else is distraction. So waste is just a distraction. Sheet is distraction, nothing more. Pleasing customers who pay the most. Yeah, it's damn important to talk to customers. It's damn important to listen to customers, but not only to those who gave the most money, or just who give the most money as of now, right? I would be even stronger. Maybe it's a little bit idealistic or controversial as well. I would say that sometimes it's even good to lose a customer who gives the most money, because if the only chance to keep these customers, of course, is to follow their instructions. And instead of that, just coming back to what I said just a moment ago, I think we should build the right product. If the product is right, there will be a chance to attract additional customers and money will come. This is my way of thinking. And just my opinion. Anyway, complaining about tech deck, that crap again. And that's why. Of course, technical debt should be in control, but I would say it shouldn't very rarely be the most important thing. And let me maybe mention what happened 23 years ago. You can raise your hand. Who of you is, for example, a client of mBank or have an account? Many of you, I see. So their first release was 23 years ago. And their first release was far from being ideal. They made huge tech debt, what I've heard. But why? Anyone knows? They wanted to be the first. Yeah, and they won this race by just a few weeks, if I remember. So this was the business value. They were the first, right? And they were proud, and still they are proud. They are the first virtual bank in Poland. And nobody remembers that they made at the beginning. It was paid back. So I could go on. For example, I can talk about external communication that's curated by marketing. It's a crap as well. Just in short, I would say many things we do in our IT products, it's just marketing. Like even an error message we put somewhere, it's marketing. So we should be more empowered more. We should have better courage, or just have some better marketing skills, and so on and so on. Really, it might be very, very depressing. But what I found that still there is a remedy, and always it makes sense to challenge the status quo. So this is a set of questions. Maybe you've seen this in some books, in some articles, but I found also, based on my discussions with some other PMs, those questions, why I'm doing that, this or that, what value do I add, is there an easier way, what can I do instead, as well as what have I learned today. So the questions which are quite often missed or just ignored. But for me, personally, it's a set of questions I'm asking every day or with every assignment, and it really helps me to mitigate the waste. Or just, of course, it won't reduce any waste around, but definitely it could challenge the status quo and make sure that, the chance of wasting my time or my energy will be lower. And it was my first insight I wanted to share with you. So let's go to the second one. And let me maybe come back to my London story. As you've heard, I wouldn't have met Fernando if I hadn't walked along the Thames, along the river. But I must admit that my walk was not planned at all. It happened that my credit card was blocked a few days before. No matter what was the reason, it was just blocked. And that evening, I lost 10 pounds. 10 pounds, that was the only money I had for the tube to get back to my hotel. So as you can see, I wouldn't have met Fernando if I hadn't lost 10 pounds. As simple as that. But as I mentioned, it was not planned. It was not intentional, even if actually I was far, far away from being in a comfortable situation. I'm introvert. I love walking, hiking, but not talking to strangers, especially in English, unless it's variety, of course. Anyway, it's a positive side in this as well. As you can see, even if you don't have money, there's a chance to meet an interesting person. Secondly, there's a chance to have an interesting discussion. And finally, there's a chance to have a beer for free. So if you are from Krakow or from Poznan, or if you love a beer, it might be great. Very helpful insight, right? But there's one more aspect I want to tell you about. 10 pounds. Yeah, I'm not good in pressing next button. The next item is about comfort zone, because I think that many success gurus are telling us that, the only chance to truly learn and truly grow is to step outside of our comfort zones. We are taught that. And they are saying that staying in a comfort zone is an impediment. So, it's a bad thing. We should always step outside. But when I hear something like that, I'm really like that panda. It's good to step outside of our comfort zones sometimes. That's true. You can learn more. But would you further regarding my London journey, trip, walk, whatever? You've heard that I had no money, so I had to walk. What happened next is another story. My walk was not intentional. And I think also in product management, we are quite often in situations which are not intentional. Something happens by accident, just happens. And the same on many occasions. I think that quite often we are pulled out of our comfort zones by accident. And it just happens. Good or bad, I don't know. It causes some stress. Yes, it does, in product management especially. But it just happens. So it led me to a conclusion that there's something more important than just stepping outside of our comfort zones. And I would say this is about the statement, my second insight I want to share with you. It's about discovering and enjoying everything extraordinary, and really to be very grateful for anything that will come on your way. For example, in a moment, right? And when I talk to some PMs, I found that they can wake up with a smile more often, when have a positive attitude to whatever the life can bring. That was my second insight I wanted to share with you. But let's maybe focus for a moment on discovering, if it makes sense. Because for me, discovering is a life skill. All communication, empathy, aesthetic taste, these are all life skills. And these are all things which are extremely crucial in product management. And it led me also to a further idea that actually product management could be considered as a domain that is heavily based on empirical processes. And I went even deeper. Maybe it sounds a little bit crazy right now, but I found that my life can be treated as an IT product as well. And even more, it can be the only product that's entirely mine. Of course, I don't have absolute control over everything, but there's nothing better. I know, it sounds maybe crazy. But I found afterwards, okay, in my life, I think common sense is quite important. But what about looking from a different angle? If I'm taught various product management techniques, what about using those techniques to shape my life. So we went again further. Idea. So when we start something new, we start with an idea that something is potentially worth doing. And we build up a picture of the future. So we have a vision. And we come back to this vision from time to time. So over time, we come to this to validate whether we're going the right way or wrong way. So a vision that is simple, that is inspiring, that is future-oriented, in short, right? So if your life was like an IT product, I wonder who among you has ever defined a vision for your life? You can raise your hands. Not so many people, to be honest. Because if you don't have a plan, there's a saying, your plan is to fail. Something like that. Anyway, let's go further. If you have vision, perhaps you can go to priorities. David mentioned something about values a moment ago. The same question, who among you has ever defined priorities for your life? More people, that's good. What might be a priority might be your belief, your wife, husband, children, closest family, closest friends, your hobby, mental, physical health, maybe your work. But I do believe that your work will be at the end, to be honest. I will explain in a moment. Anyway, if you don't set your priorities, somebody else will do it for you. And the same is in product management. If, for example, product manager does not set the priorities, other people will choose what they think is right or what they like the best. It happens that way. But let's go further. Strategy and execution. Once you have vision, once you have priorities, we go to strategy and to execution. It's a wide topic, so in conscious of time, let me maybe just focus on one aspect, the planning. This is just a sample calendar. For example, I like calendar-based planning. This time I'll just leave you with a taste for food for thoughts. So I love calendar-based planning. Every morning I sit with a calendar and try to put some blocks in my calendar. What might be important for me at work to be done? But I found, what about my private life? And I started thinking, okay, for example, let's say I've got a dentist appointment and this is a must for me at 10 a.m. So the question is whether I will find an excuse to not be there and work time, or just be flexible and try to do my best and be flexible with my work, and so on with many such assignments. And then always we come to a question, what's more important? What's your priority? Work or your physical health? Or work versus your children, let's say, and so on. So this time I will just leave you a taste for just thinking anyway. I need just a few more minutes, sorry. Jensen Huang, maybe you know that guy. He's famous because he's CEO of NVIDIA. But he said something like that, what is famous as well, but not extremely smart, even if it's about smart things. Everybody could say so. Anyway, I really wish you to focus on the right things anyway. And just to wrap up the things quickly, think about the waste and the way how to reduce the waste. It's really worth doing this, and I gave you some questions that could help. Think about this continuous discovery and to be hungry for anything extraordinary that will come on your way. It really can help to be happy every morning. And finally, if you did not feel that you are a product manager at the beginning of this talk, I do believe that at least some of you will feel that you are product managers right now, and really try to shape this product the best possible way because it's worth it. And even more, your life, I think, is like a masterpiece you craft. And actually, you hold the brush, to be honest. So thank you very much. I hope it was helpful. I do appreciate it. Thank you again. And if you had any time spare, if you'd like to reach out to me, you can scan the QR code on the left-hand side. You can contact me on LinkedIn or during the coffee break. And the second QR code is just for a simple feedback form, and I will be more than happy if you can provide me any feedback regarding this talk. So thank you very much. I still do believe that there will be some spare time for at least a few questions. So thanks again.